it's Christmas time. And you know what that means. That means it's time to start getting gifts. And if you have some reptile friends, or you just want to treat yourself to something for Christmas and you're a reptile guy, here's 5 of the best gifts you can get a reptile person for Christmas, excluding animals. If you're getting an animal, you should already know what they want, because surprising somebody with an animal that they didn't know that they wanted, it's probably not a good idea. Wouldn't recommend it. This was going to be an ackie monitor video, but not enough has happened over the last month to justify making an entire video on it. So if you do want to know what has happened over the last month, stick around until the end of the video. I'm going to go over that. So for this list, I'm going to try to stay as universal as possible. Of course, some people might have individual needs or wants, but these are 5 things that I think any reptile person could use and would really appreciate it if you got these things for them. So number 1 is the snake hook. Pretty much every reptile person could use more snake hooks. Even if they're not keeping venomous snakes or snakes that could bite them, snake hooks are always a good thing to have to go herping with, or just practicing handling snakes with them. Most avid reptile keepers do go herping, and a snake hook is pretty much a must for herping, because there could be venomous snakes that you want to pick up with a snake hook and get a picture with, or if you just don't want to get bit by non-venomous snakes, you have a higher chance of not getting bit if you use the snake hook. Or you could use the snake hook for something like my boa constrictor that's generally a nice snake, but right when I open the cage, he wants to eat, and the way I let him know that he's not eating is I boop him on the end of the nose with a snake hook, and then I'm able to get him out no problem. So I'd say if you're going to get a snake hook, I would recommend going for a solid metal one that doesn't bend or go in or whatever. The kinds that like retract in tend to break. I know a lot of people that have had bad experiences with the retractable kind, so I personally wouldn't recommend getting a retractable snake hook. And this one here is right about maybe 3 feet, 2.5 feet. This is probably a good length that most people could use. I mean, of course, it depends. If you're getting a specialty snake hook to handle a massive king cobra, you'd probably want something much longer. Or if you're just handling little snakes, you might just want a little 1 foot long one. But I'd say a 3 foot long one is probably a good kind of universal length. It's very versatile. So all in all, I think every reptile person could definitely benefit from having a good 2.5 to 3 foot solid metal snake hook. Next up on our list is the Temp Gun. Now this is not a very good Temp Gun. I would really like it if somebody got me one of the good like $90 Temp Guns where you can stand pretty much anywhere and just pull the trigger and shoot, and you got the surface temperature of that spot. Those are really cool, and a lot of reptile people don't have them, and the reptile people that do have them really like them. Obviously, it's important to know temperatures in your reptile enclosure, and having a good temp gun is definitely the easiest and most efficient way to do temperature checks in your enclosure. I wouldn't recommend those little sticky things that stick to the wall and tell you the temperature. Those typically don't work very well, and sometimes the stickiness on them gets stuck on reptile scales, and I've heard some pretty bad stories about what they can do. So definitely wouldn't recommend the stick on the wall kind temperature reader. But yeah, even if you're not a huge avid reptile keeper and you say just have a ball python, and somebody comes over and you're showing them their ball python, they're like, yeah, whatever, you just have a ball python. You're not that cool. But then you pull out your temperature gun, take the temperature on the hot spot, and it's 90 degrees on the dot. Then all of a sudden you're way cooler and you've earned their respect. So yeah, number 2, I don't know if I'm counting down from 5 or counting up from 1. I completely forgot, but yeah, temp guns are great. And next up on our list are feeding tongs. If you're a reptile person, you most likely already have feeding tongs, but there are also a surprising amount that don't have feeding tongs and feed their snakes with just their hands, which, unless you like having snakes attached to your hands, is probably not a good risk to take. And of course, there's actually other uses other than just feeding snakes that you can use feeding tongs for. I actually use these feeding tongs quite often, and these little ones right here to feed my ackie monitors superworms. Tong feeding like this helps me know for sure that certain ones have eaten, and it helps build trust. So yeah, obviously there's lots of different sizes of feeding tongs. It really just depends on what you need them for. I would recommend this 2 foot size right here. I can use these for superworms for the ackies, and I can use them for feeding my boa constrictor and my ball python. So yeah, these are a good versatile size, but if your person just has a leopard gecko, or maybe only keeps lizards, maybe do something smaller like this. It's easier to grab the insects and your hand is closer to them when you're feeding them, so sometimes that can help with trust building. So yeah, if you don't have feeding tongs already, definitely get some. And next up on our list is a good spraying bottle. Again, this is another thing that probably a lot of reptile keepers already have, but even if you already have a good spray bottle, an upgrade could always be used. Like, I could use an upgrade. A lot of reptile keepers have a spray bottle like this, which these I just don't like, especially being that I have these bigger cages right here, these 4x2x2s. I have 3 of them, so imagine try to spray down 3 4x2x2s really well with something like this. It just doesn't put out that much water, and after a while your hand gets really tired of squirting it. So yeah, all around these just kind of suck. But what pretty much every reptile person could use is something like this. Now even I could use a better one. There are ones that have a big, like, 1-gallon jug down here at the bottom, which would make it to where I don't have to refill it as often, because I go through this whole thing just spraying down one 4x2x2 cage. But the good thing about this kind is you can do that. So pretty much all you have to do is stand there. When you push this down, it sprays, and then you can push this in, and it just stays there, so then all you have to do is hold it and aim it. So yeah, spray bottle upgrade. A lot of reptile people need it. And last on our list is just basic clutter items like this cork bark or this leaf thing. This leaf thing's actually pretty good. It sticks into the substrate like this, and it just can kind of sit there, and they can hide under it, or they can crawl under it, forage through it. Most reptiles' enclosures could be improved by something like this. Whether it's a ball python and this could just be more clutter, it could make them feel more secure, or something like this that a smaller reptile could hide in, or bigger reptiles could use to just explore. You could dig it in, put it down in the substrate. If it's an ackie monitor, you can use it as kind of like a start of a burrow, or just an extra texture and something like a tub to help them shed. Even if they can't fit their whole bodies in and hide in it, they could maybe crawl through it. It's still enrichment. So yeah, stuff like leaves and extra cork bark can pretty much always be put to use or stored and put to use later by pretty much any reptile person. So yeah, that was my top 5 best gifts to get for a reptile person, or for a reptile person to get him or herself. Let me know down in the comments if there was anything I missed. Now about the ackie monitors. So if I move this Christmas tree over, you can see that I have an egg box in here. And this is because I thought one of them was pregnant. And they're about 7 months old anyways now, so it's about time to put an egg box in there, because they're starting to come of age to where they're capable of laying eggs. So yeah, pretty much the only interesting thing that's happened over the last month with the ackie monitors is I had a big one in this cage right here get really fat, I guess after a meal. Him or her is just fat in general, but especially after meals, it looks pregnant. I'll show some pictures on the screen. He or she looks really pregnant. And I asked some Facebook groups, messaged some people I know, and a lot of people thought that she was pregnant. So I put the egg box in there, and about 40 days or so later, she hasn't laid. And she's still eating and thriving and doing well, and she looks about the same as she always has. She just looks bloated. So being that she's doing so well and she's not showing any sort of abnormal behaviors, I'm pretty sure she's not egg-bound. I think it was just so fat that me and a lot of other people thought it was pregnant. So yeah, I might need to put it on a diet if it continues to be this fat. But yeah, that's about it with the ackie monitors for this month. So yeah, thank you for watching. Everybody here at Flood Reptiles, aka me, would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let me know if you like this top 5 format. And if you want to see more down in the comments, be sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.